Now, so when we look at sweat, I'm going to use a quick acronym to help you get it. Because it says, in the sweat of your face, you shall eat bread till you return to the ground. In other words, if I do this, there is guarantee of my productivity all the days of my life. If I involve in these activities, I can be assured that I will be able to not just eat vegetation, but I'll also be able to consume some things that I convert if I do these things. Am I making sense to you? Now, I hope you're interested in this because I'm trying to help you, because what's going to happen for us, what's going to happen for many of us is, as you see policies change, it doesn't matter who gets voted in, the environment's different. As you see policies change, it doesn't matter who you vote for. The whole world is shifting and everything else, and so we've got to not depend upon the policies and the ideology of yesteryear, because that time is gone now. And I'm making sense. And so I've got to now listen. I got to make my own way. I've got to drive my own future. I've got to make it. I've got to say, now I got to embrace that. Listen, it's on me. Look at your neighbor, say it's on me. It's on me. Now, listen, now, if I do this right, if I work right, and I tap into God, then God will bless the work of my hands. But it's literally, if I don't give him anything to bless, then all I got is the fruit of cursed ground. If I don't give him anything to work with, I don't give him anything to breathe upon, I don't give him anything to blow upon, then all I got is the work of cursed ground. Am I making sense? So I'm just looking for, I'm trying to see what I can scrape off a thorn. So look at your name, says sweat. So the first S, the S stands for sowing. Now realize this, that means I've got to always be sowing. Now Psalms 126 and 5 helps you to understand a principle I want you to understand. That's very important. I want you to understand this. You're always sowing something. You're always sowing something. There's never a season where you're not sowing something. Now, this is important. Psalms 126 and 5 says this: those who sow in tears shall reap in joy. He who continually goes forth weeping, bearing seed for sowing, shall doubtless come upon rejoicing, bringing his sheaves with him. In other words, even in my dark times, I'm sowing something. I'm always sowing something. So this is important. Why? Because the hand who does not want to be productive wants to disengage on sowing. You want to disengage with sowing, and you want to reap where you haven't sown. But when I understand every day I'm always sowing something, I should not be surprised by where I am. Why? Because of what I sown. I shouldn't be surprised that I got bad credit. Why? It's what I sowed. I shouldn't be surprised that life is costing me more. Why? It's what I sowed. I shouldn't be surprised that you approve me. It's what I sowed. Am I making sense? Yeah, I expected to get that. Right. Why? Because I didn't fill out the application with a bunch of hope. I knew what I was asking for, and I knew you were going to approve me. I was just trying to figure out exactly whether I wanted your terms or not. Am I making sense? Because I'm always sowing something. Am I making sense? I'm making sense. Listen, our being in shape is about what we sown. Our being obese is about what we sown. Our health is about what we sown. Am I making sense? So when I ate bad 29 years, now I got to eat good, work out, do these other things to get my life back in track. Why? It's what I sowed. I'm always sowing something. Am I making sense? Now, I love this. This is Proverbs 6 and 14. This will bless you, or it'll make you mad, one or two. Proverbs 6, go to 6 and 12, I'm sorry. Listen to this. A worthless person, a wicked man, walks with a perverse mouth. Look at your neighbor and say, you're always sowing something. He winks with his eyes. He shuffles his feet. He points his finger. Perversity is in his heart. He devises evil continually. He sows discord. Say, you're always sowing something. Michael Jackson said, y'all always want to be starting something, right? You're always sowing something. Now, it says, therefore, verse 15, his calamity shall come upon him suddenly. Suddenly he shall be broken without remedy. Why? Because you're sowing something. So the idea of sowing is this, that if I understand that sowing is the principle of my life, that means I'm always sowing something. So am I sowing forgiveness? Am I asking people, or am I sowing judgment? Am I sowing gossip, or am I building people up? Am I sowing into my future? Am I investing in my education? What am I sowing? Am I just walking around mad today? So you mad today. So you took 24 hours to sow negativity. God gave you, this is the day the Lord has made. I will sow negatively into it. God gave me 24 hours. I'm just going to sow mess, anger, frustration, gossip into it. So when I reap mess, gossip, why should I be surprised? Because I forgot that I'm always sowing something. Listen, that means this. The reason why I want to forgive you, because I never know when I'm going to need it. I never know when I'm gonna need a little grace myself. Am I making sense? So what we gonna do, Dr. Moody? We need to forgive him. Oh, you gonna get him? No, we need to forgive him. We need to try to restore him and try to get him back. What? No, we need to get him. Get him. They lied. They did lie. Get him. Oh, we probably need to try to see if we can restore him. Why? Because one day you're gonna need it. Am I making sense? And so you got to ask yourself, if I know that I'm always sowing something, how it would change how I spend my days. If I know that I'm always sowing something, it might even change how I use my brain. Because if I'm telling negative commentary, if I'm on a negative phone call, if I'm watching negative television.com, if I'm doing this, I'm always sowing. So you know why you got crazy dreams? Because you spent the whole day looking at crazy stuff. See, y'all think that's funny. You think that's funny. You spend the whole day looking at crazy stuff, and then you wonder why your brain falls asleep on anything that's intelligent. You trained your brain to be a junk food addict. You watch it to be a trashy addict. And so now when it comes to anything that would develop your brain, you don't want it. Why? You sold. Am I making sense? Making sense. You got to ask yourself, man, Lord, what am I doing every day? If I'm always sowing something, and God gave me these 24 hours, what am I using them for? Am I making sense? I'm not saying you can't have fun, but I'm not saying you can't laugh. I'm not saying you can't watch silly movies sometimes. I'm not saying you can't have a good time and enjoy good food and good fellowship. I'm not saying that. But always know that you're always sowing something. Am I making sense? Now, in the principle of sowing, understand this, that sowing also takes time. In other words, what I sow today, I'm not getting back tomorrow. Ecclesiastes 11:1 says, cast your bread upon the waters, and you will find it after many days, right? So stop thinking that what I'm sowing at 1 o'clock is going to come back at 2 o'clock. And when Solomon was writing this, remember, he's writing to an agrarian society, which means they understood farming. They understood tilling soil and land. So they understood that you're going to till ground in February, you're going to sow seed in March, but you're not going to reap until August. But they understood that if I'm not working in March, I have no right to expect anything in August. Am I making sense? So you got to realize the mindset. When Solomon was writing Ecclesiastes, he's writing to people who understood cycles and time and planting. And so when he said, cast your bread upon the waters, and you will find after many days. They were like, yeah, that makes sense. It just doesn't make sense to us because we're instant oatmeal people. We don't know about old-fashioned oats. Put a little salt and water and boil your waters, and then stir them oats in there. Turn it down and let it simmer for a while. Let it thicken up and everything else. All you know is a little packet and the microwave with a little water, 30 seconds. And you got this little stuff you call oatmeal. And now listen, it's so bad we call real oats steel oats. Those are steel oats right there. No, that's oatmeal. What you did was you chopped them way down, added water in 30 seconds, and some fruit and sugar. And now you're like, man, it's the best ever. Why? So now, I want you to understand, if you don't know what a slow cooked meal tastes like, then a quick meal will do. If you don't know what it tastes like to simmer the green beans, where the flavors just get all in it, and all you know is opening the can, putting them in the bowl, getting some seasoning salt and some onion powder and stirring them real fast, and then heating them up real good in the microwave for 2 minutes, and you're saying to yourself, man, I'm listening, and then gonna call yourself putting a little piece of turkey, a little piece of bacon in it, and heating it up. That ain't no green beans. Some of us don't even know what a bouillon cube is. What is that? Cast your bread upon the waters. So I want you to understand, when they're hearing this, they understand you sow in one season, and it's months of work before you get a harvest. Our problem is we don't understand that. So we want to date 5 minutes and fall in love and be married by Thursday. And I'm making sense. Everybody was inundated with the Golden Bachelor, and they watched the Golden Bachelor, and they watched, and everybody was watching it and seeing which one this 75-year-old man would pick, and you got these 70-some-year-old women all walking, all stapled and pulled together and taped together and everything else, and then we watched them chase each other and run around the United States, and we watched the love story, and they put the wedding on, and people was watching it and talking about this true love, everyththing else, and they've been married 3 months, and then last week they're like, yeah, we're gonna divorce. Yeah, everything, and they holding each other's hand, talking about this is we still love each other. And this is still the love of my life. I just don't want it in my life no more. Look at you, says sowing takes time. So if I know I'm always sowing, then I got to be thinking about, I cannot be thinking about Tuesday right now. I got to be thinking about 2026. If sowing takes time, I can't be thinking about May. Am I making sense? Because May I've already sown into. I'm making sense. I got to be thinking about how do I set myself up for August. Listen, what's our budget for Christmas? What's my goals next year? How I want to be? What investments do I want to make? What moves do we want to make in the next 2 years? Or what degrees do I want? What programs need to get in? Who do I need to talk to now? What's my setup moves? Because you understand that sowing takes time. He said, by the sweat of your brow, in toil. Adam, you can't, listen, it used to be where you go, banana. And now it's, I would like a banana. I got to dig a hole, plant a seed, pull up all the weeds around it, till it, water it, watch it, get the pest away, and then see. And sometimes a fruit tree will take 7 years for the first harvest. So fruit trees can take up to 7 years for the first harvest. So why did you put the plum tree in your backyard, and after 3 years you say it's something wrong with it, it's broke? And you forgot, curses the ground for your sake. You got 7 years of watching that thing bloom and go bloom, 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 bloom. And then one day, after 7 years, you go, I think I see a plum. Am I making sense? And say, notice, I want you to understand something. Sweat, right? Look at this, that sweat. See, notice, this is the work nobody wants to tell you about. That means you're not working right now for 7 years in front of you. Your problem is you're working for tomorrow, which means you've already lost. Cast your bread upon the waters. He says, even if you're waiting for the tide to come in, if you throw the bread on the waters, he says, you got to at least wait for the lunar cycle to work, for the tide to bring it back in. Because life, when you understand sowing, life is about cycles. Am I making sense? So now, the issue is, when's the last time you had a cycle conversation about where are we right now, where are we going to be in 3 years, where are we going to be this, and what are we sowing? Where's my life? Where's my, listen, do you know, I was looking at an index, I think I may have shared this with you, that talked about, by zip code, you can look at the average credit score. Maybe I didn't share it with you. And so if you could imagine, in 78753, in the zip code of 78753, the average credit score is 640. 78753. And the average credit score. That means that if you want to buy a home, you can buy a home, but it's going to be, you can buy a car, but it's going to be a little more expensive, right? If you look at 78641, Cedar Park, the average credit score is 750. Wait, a 20-minute drive one way means this, that we can buy the same house, but because I got 100 points on my credit score more than you, you're going to pay another $800 a month for it. We can buy the same car, but the same car, same year. We can both put the same amount down, but you're going to pay $400 more a month for it. Am I making sense? So the issue is this. So what is your plan to raise your credit score by 100 points in the next 2 or 3 years? Who's talking about that? Because if you don't have any more favor, you don't have any more of this, the policies are working against you, then you got to say, wait a minute, I've got to know how to work within the system. I got to work within a cursed system. And if they're going to use AI now to look at my credit score, they no longer, that means AI is just going to look at it because they say AI is unbiased. But if AI looks at my credit score and it's unbiased, but it's pulling data from a very biased system, then I cannot say that it's race-based because a robot did it. A calculation did it, an algorithm did it. So I can't say that it's race-based, but I've never designed my life to play that game. Oh, it's quiet in here. Look at your neighbor. He's trying to help you think a little bit. It says this, give us serving the 7 and also 8. You don't know what evil will be on the earth. If the clouds are full of rain, they empty themselves upon the earth. If a tree falls to the south or to the north, in the place where it falls, there it shall lie. He who observes the wind will not sow. He who regards the clouds will not reap. Listen, so sowing, you're always sowing something. Sowing, it always takes time. The number 3 point about sowing is this. Sowing always produces a harvest. As long as the earth remains, it's Genesis 8:22, seed time and harvest. So that means this, if I've always got to be thinking about what am I sowing and what kind of harvest do I want. So we don't ask the right questions. We don't ask questions of what harvest do we want. When are we having harvest conversations? When the last time you had a harvest conversation with your spouse, with your friends? When the last time you sat down and said, okay, listen, we've got to start buying land. How do we buy land? Well, right now, we need this, we need that. We got to start buying commercial properties. So what meetings are we having that say, listen, let's get together, y'all, and let's sit down and let's strategize about buying up this commercial properties around here? Or we saying, city, give me something. The county need to give us something versus saying, okay, what does it take to buy property? Okay, now listen, let's get together. What do you want to do? Let's get together and let's put together, do we need to put an LLC? Do we need to put a community development corporation together? What we need to put together? How do we structure the board so that we can get these things in line so that we can be set up so that by 2026, we can do this. By 2028, we'll be here because, Dr. Moody, we know that even when we look at development in the city of Austin, if we wanted to develop something from the ground up, it's going to at least take 3 years from the day. So listen, it's going to take 3 years, and we haven't started talking about it yet. You're always sowing something. Sowing takes time, and sowing produces a harvest. Am I making sense? What harvest conversations have we had lately? We don't have harvest conversations. We have hard conversations. Life is hard. It's hard. It's hard. Oh, man, it's hard out here, man. It's rough out here. It's rough out here. So what's the conversation about now dealing with, listen, so if it's rough out here, you've acknowledged you're dealing with a cursed environment. Okay, now what? God told Adam, cursed is the ground. It's going to be hard. Toil, it's going to be hard. Sweat, it's going to be hard. Now what? Notice how many conversations will be cut off when you say, now what? I'm just saying, I'm so frustrated with that. Now what? What? So we're doing. If we having hard conversations or we having harvest conversations? Because your hard conversations aren't going to get us nowhere. I'm wasting my time. I'm sowing in the bad ground. I'm not sowing anything. So we just want to just blow in the wind? Hope? What are we doing? I'm telling you, this is how you become productive. Am I making sense? Making sense. And then the last thing about sowing is this. Sowing is not always based upon your season. Stop thinking that sowing is always based upon your season. It says in Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 4. Now this is Solomon, the wisest man that ever lived. This is Solomon, the richest man that ever lived. So when I want to look for wisdom, I look to Solomon. When I want to look for riches, I look to Solomon. Solomon, what do you got to say about sowing, man of God? Since you were the wisest and richest man that ever lived, I might want to listen to you. I know Warren Buffett is smart. I like Warren Buffett. I get it. But I might want to listen to Solomon because whatever whatever Warren Buffett had, Solomon had more than that. Am I making sense? Solomon said this: he who observes the wind will not sow, and he who regards the clouds will not reap. Stop trying to time your season of sowing. Verse 5, as you do not know what is the way of the wind. You don't even know how the bones grow. You don't know how, the lady that's with child, you don't know how that develops. It says, you do not know the works of God who makes everything. In the morning, what do? Sow your seed. And in the evening, what do? Don't withhold your hand. For you do not know, thank you, Solomon, which will prosper, either this or that, or whether both alike will be good. So stop. Listen, I'm in a season. I'm in a season of saving. I'm not in a season of sowing. If I was in a different season, I would sow. Solomon said, you didn't listen to me. Even investors will tell you, keep sowing. Well, I watch the market. I want to pull out. I've been trying to time it. And everything else. And investors be like, don't listen. Don't do all that. You can't time. You ain't that smart. So now notice when you keep saying, well, in a year I'm going to start sowing. In 6 months I'm going to start I'm going to start sowing. Listen, next year I'm going to start my retirement plan. So you're going to let all these months go by. Next year, I'm going to start my retirement program as soon as I pay off my bills. So you don't want to pay yourself ever until you pay off your bills. Have you asked your company, do they have do they even have a matching program? Why are you giving away free money every year? They'll match? Yeah, they'll match. Even if it's $50, it's free money. So listen, you will shout if every month you walked in and somebody put $50 in your chair. You will call yourself blessed. What a matching fund is, it's blessed. Every month somebody's saying, I'll give you free money. But you don't even sign up for it. Because there are no harvest conversations, because you don't believe in sowing for real. Am I making sense? And you don't think that sowing takes time. So you're thinking that when you 58, you're going to start a retirement program. And you can never make up for it.
Thank you for worshiping with us today. If you liked this message, you can find the rest at cmllcstore.com. We invite you to join us again for our extraordinary worship services every Sunday at 10:30 a.m., Sundays at 4 p.m., and Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. Central, where Dr. Moody teaches how to understand the Bible, and you can get all your biblical questions answered. We look forward to connecting with you. We ask that you subscribe to the R.O.C.K ATX on YouTube and follow the R.O.C.K ATX on Facebook and Instagram to stay connected to all the R.O.C.K is doing. You can also get connected on our website at therockatx.org. Again, thank you for worshiping with us, and be blessed.